Yo, welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. Hope everybody out there is getting set to have an awesome weekend, and I hope all of you have some great plans, especially for all the dads out there with Father's Day coming up on Sunday. Coming up here on this show, Eagles General Manager Howie Roseman has an opportunity to do the funniest thing ever in order to improve this Eagles team. We're going to dive into that, but it's time for a sub-check. So far in the month of June, at about the halfway point here of the month, we have picked up 470 subscribers. I promised my bosses that in the month of June, we would take down this number. This is the amount of subscribers that we picked up in May, 1,132. Let's get to the halfway point in the halfway point of this month as far as subs picked up this month. Hit that subscribe button, and if you want the best Eagles coverage every single day, year-round, coming from yours truly right here on this show, we always have you covered, especially for all of the real ones. So Howie Roseman could do the funniest thing ever and trade for Bengals first-round pick defensive end Shemar Stewart. He was selected in the first round of the NFL draft back in April. But there is a very odd situation going on in Cincinnati where the two sides, Jamar Stewart and his camp, and Cincinnati, are not on the same page. He has not signed his rookie contract. I believe there's two other first-rounders, maybe three, who haven't inked their deals yet. For instance, Jahad Campbell signed his contract a couple of days ago. And Stewart did not partake in rookie minicamp. He did not participate in Bengals OTAs. He was on hand for mandatory minicamp, and then he left. Prior to him leaving, he had an interview in the locker room where he ripped the Bengals organization, pretty much called them out for being cheap, said if I was running things, this wouldn't be a problem, and then he said that Bengals players have told him that what he's doing and pretty much holding in as a rookie is the right thing. And Stewart relayed to the media that the Bengals are trying to put these certain clauses in his contract that he's not happy about to pretty much mess with some of the guarantees in that deal. He also said that the Bengals are too worried about trying to win these arguments instead of trying to get these deals done. And so after he was there for mandatory minicamp but not practicing, he dipped out. He left mandatory minicamp. And what I have to say about this, you think about how well run the Philadelphia Eagles are, it starts from the top, right? Jeffrey Lurie to Howie Roseman to Nick Sirianni to the culture in the locker room led by the players. The Bengals have never had that. Cheap ownership, a general manager who just signed T. Higgins and Jamar Chase to deals that weren't conducted in a smart way as far as the financial details, a far cry from what Howie Roseman does, and this is why bad organizations stay bad. When you are rich and you own an NFL team as a billionaire and you're cheap, it's like a disease. It is like a mental illness. Can you imagine being a billionaire and you're trying to cut costs and you're pinching pennies with your football team, a cash cow of an organization? I mean, the NFL is booming in popularity. The NFL salary cap continues to go up and up and up. The Bengals have a very passionate fan base. That fan base, I've run into some Bengals fans over time. They love their football team, yet their owner is trying to pinch pennies. Not a good look. The Bengals drafted Shemar Turner with the 17th overall pick, or Shemar Stewart, with the 17th overall pick. And they are trying to rebuild their defense. And yet, they're not signing him to a contract that you already know what that contract is going to be. Get the deal done. And by messing around like this, you are risking stunting the development that he needs to be the best player that he can become. Texas A&M, loaded team. They had a great defensive front led by Shemar Stewart with players like Shemar Turner and other players on that front. And the Bengals identify that. They take the player who they covet. They try to rebuild their defense. They get a player with a ton of ability in Stewart. They know what the contract is going to be. When you are selected in the first round at a certain spot in that first round, the salary is already set. All the Bengals have to do is sign off on that deal, take these dumb clauses out that aren't included in other rookie contracts. Now with Stewart, very interesting prospect here because he is a freak athlete. He led Texas A&M in pressures. He's a really interesting scheme fit because he could play defensive tackle. He can play defensive end. In 2024, he certainly popped on multiple occasions playing in the SEC. The best conference in college football, in my opinion, although the Big Ten is starting to close that gap. He had 31 tackles, 6 TFLs, a sack and a half, 39 pressures, 2 pass breakups, and 1 forced fumble. And you look at what he did throughout his career, Stewart was a very steady producer as far as pressure numbers. 39 in 2024, as I mentioned, 26 in 2023, 14 in 2022. In 37 career games in college, Shemar Stewart had 79 pressures. But what's very odd, and this goes to me saying that he needs these reps right now as a young player. He needs to develop. He needs to be fine-tuned. If he's such a great athlete at the college level, when you should be able to dominate on athletic traits alone, why only 1.5 sacks in each of the last 3 years? Because when you look at his relative athletic score, a perfect 10 is what Jamar Stewart earned at the NFL Combine. 6'5", 267 pounds, a 40-inch vert at that size, a broad jump of more than 10 feet. He clocked a sub-4.6 40-yard dash, the 20-yard split, the 10-yard split, all fantastic numbers. So the potential is there. The foundation of skills are all there. There is a base to work with here. Yet the Bengals are messing around, making a rookie disgruntled and causing a situation that can be avoided. This is why bad organizations stay bad. The Philadelphia Eagles, they would never do this. Jahad Campbell didn't sign his deal until a couple of days ago. Never heard of Pete. Cam Williams, a 6th-round pick, was compensated in a way where the Eagles gave him more money up front because they're a believer in the player, in what he can become down the road, so they front-loaded his rookie contract. Teams don't have to do that, but the Eagles want to do good by their players. They want to conduct business in a way that respects the prospect, respects the process, respects the players, and in turn, it makes their reputation a great one across the National Football League. Same can't be said for the Cincinnati Bengals. A damn shame on them. Now, coming up next, is a trade possible for Shemar Stewart? Can Howie Roseman indeed do the funniest thing ever and trade for the first-round pick of the Cincinnati Bengals? We're going to talk about that here coming up, but first, I do want to give a shout-out to one of our brand-new sponsors here at Chat Sports, and that is Ridge, and specifically Ridge Wallet. This has been a game-changer for me. I am somebody who hates having a lot of things in my pockets and bulky pockets, and with my Ridge Wallet, you can fit multiple cards and cash in here. Look at how thin it is. And you compare that to what a standard iPhone is. It's smaller and thinner than the actual iPhone, and it's very durable. I also love their designs. I'm a simple standard color guy most of the time. I like wearing black. I have a black Ridge wallet. If you want an Eagles wallet, it's awesome. They also have that keychain too as part of Ridge's accessories. You can get up to 40% off if you just go to ridge.com/chat and you use our code chat. Because right now, just in time for Father's Day, Ridge is having a huge sale. Get up to 40% off your order, ridge.com/chat. Use that code chat to find the perfect gift for dad or yourself. When you check out, they will ask you where you heard about them. Please support our show and tell them that Chat Sports, Eagles Now, and Chase Sr. sent you. And with the Ridge wallet, unique, slim, modern design, holds up to 12 cards plus cash. Over 50 plus colors, made with premium materials like aluminum, titanium, carbon fiber. They have over 100,000 5-star reviews. Also, losing your wallet, it sucks. But with the Ridge AirTag attachment, you'll know exactly where it is. Ridge isn't just about wallets. They create premium everyday carry essentials like key cases, suitcases, and rings, all built with the same sleek, durable design. Get hooked up today. Today's show, sponsored by Ridge, up to 40% off. Limited time only. Ridge.com/chat. Use that code chat. Now, as far as the nuances of what the holdup is for Shemar Stewart, here's what former NFL executive Andrew Brandt said. He also has a lawyer background, so he's very well versed in all of this. Used to be in the front office for the Green Bay Packers. The Bengals are basically putting in a default clause that says if the player defaults, and a default could be a breach like a discipline issue, a steroid or a drug test issue, a morals clause issue, getting in trouble, being suspended, being fined, whatever default is defined as, you can void future guarantees. In other words, if this happens in year one, you can say, well, year 2, 3, 4 are not guaranteed. And that is something the Bengals are trying to impose for their own precedent, where they can do it now going forward with all rookies and maybe even veterans. Jamar Stewart's agent is saying, nope, no sir, because last year you didn't have the 17th pick, you had the 18th pick. You didn't have that. And in past years, players like Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, they didn't have that. And you can totally see why Shemar Stewart and his agent are going about this in the way that they are. Because if Shemar Stewart has a slip-up, if something happens, whereas a lot of these first-round picks, they have their contracts fully guaranteed, the Bengals can say, after year 1, your contract is no longer guaranteed. If this happens, if X happens, your contract is no longer guaranteed. Now, the Bengals are trying to impose this partially because their wide receiver who they drafted last year in round 3, Jermaine Burton, out of Alabama, ended up doing some things, getting in some trouble, and they felt as though they got burned. Jermaine Burton was a third-round pick. Shemar Stewart is a first-round pick. And everybody raved about Shemar Stewart in the pre-draft process coming out of that Texas A&M program. This is incompetence from the Cincinnati Bengals. The terms of the contract are set. It's a 4-year, $18.94 million deal. That is not changing. The Bengals know this. There is also a chance, get this, that Stewart could get redrafted in 2026. There is a clause in the collective bargaining agreement where if Stewart doesn't like how things are going with Cincinnati, he could sit out all year and get redrafted next year. Here it is. The collective bargaining agreement sets forth the procedure for players who don't want to play for the team that has drafted them. In a nutshell, the players can sit out the entire year and re-enter the draft. If he doesn't like where he was drafted the second time, he could sit out a second season and then become an undrafted free agent following the next draft. Can you imagine if the Bengals tried to draft him again? That would be wild. Now, to the question of today's show. Could Howie Roseman make a trade for Stewart? It is possible. You call up Cincinnati, you try to make a move, and the Eagles, as we know, are looking for some pass rush help potentially. They like Jalen Hunt. They like Nolan Smith. They signed Azeez Ojulari. They signed Josh Uche. They drafted Antoine Powell-Ryland. But Shemar Stewart is a really interesting prospect. How could the Eagles make it happen? Well, look at their draft picks that they have in the 2026 NFL draft. 13 projected picks total right now for Howie. Howie do that? He's a genius. They have their own first, their own second, a third from the Jets, their own third, a projected comp pick in the third, fourth-round pick of their own, projected comp pick in the fourth. They have a fifth from San Francisco, which can elevate to a fourth. That's a Bryce Huff trade. A fifth from Atlanta, fifth from Houston, a fifth of their own, a projected comp pick in the fifth, and then they have their own seventh-round pick. I mean, if you wanted to give up some draft capital and you really like Shemar Stewart and you want to show the Bengals how it's done and you want to show Shemar Stewart what a real organization looks like, you can make this trade. And why this becomes very fascinating to me is that if Howie believes that they need to upgrade their pass rush or at least add another player as far as star talent or depth, Shemar Stewart on that rookie contract that we just talked about would be way, way cheaper than TJ Watt or Trey Hendrickson. TJ Watt or Trey Hendrickson, they would be looking for a contract of north of $30 million per year. Shemar Stewart gets $18+ million in guaranteed money over 4 years with the opportunity to exercise that fifth-year option. Interesting stuff. So I'll leave you with this. Should the Eagles save Shemar? Should the Eagles trade Shemar Stewart? Again, Shemar Turner is another defensive lineman who's drafted out of Texas A&M. Not the same player. Shemar Stewart is who we're talking about here today. T for trade, P for pass, Bird Gang. I want you to comment down below, and I hope all of you have a great weekend.